Howdy. Welcome to my runcast. I'm walking down the hill now. As you guys know from my last runcast, I don't run downhill. So lots of like early morning bird, like dinosaur sounds. It's very pretty. It's very like jungly. I was thinking about this thing. So there's a woman visiting for a week, training with me at Sorklinme, and she's getting ready for a fight that's like way in the future. But you know, when you don't fight a lot, whatever your next fight is like right up against you, and that's what you're preparing for. So she was there preparing for this fight, and she's kind of getting back into training after having had some time off for surgery and things like this. So like your mind does all kinds of things because you kind of become like not a beginner again in the sense that you don't remember things, but you're a beginner again in that you're like feeling your body again. I've done this a few times when I'm coming back from injuries or like long sicknesses or something like that. And she had gone to another gym that was for boxing, and she was talking to me about how, I think the way she phrased it was, she's like, I'm not really sure that I want to be Muay Khao in my fight. Maybe I want to box because I feel really comfortable in my boxing. And it just made me think about this. I think a lot of people have this same idea about styles, and I think people way overthink the styles of Muay Thai. Like, it's not like picking a major in college. Like, you don't have to like pick a style and stay in that style and only study that style. You also can't pick a style that isn't really yours and like force yourself into it. It doesn't really work that way. A style, the styles of Muay Thai, like Muay Khao, Muay Maat, Muay Femeu, this is more your tendency, what you tend to do under pressure, and then you hone it. Like, you're like, oh, this is what I tend to do, so I'm just going to keep doing that. There are people who really don't do well coming forward as fighters. They just, honestly, even when they're, you know, they fought really well, but they get behind a little bit, and then they have to start coming forward in like round 5, and they just can't do it. Like, they just don't fight forward well. And then there are people who don't fight backwards well, who are great forward fighters. And so you try to narrate the fight, like you try to make the fight structured around your strengths, which means you try to make it so that you're not ever going to have to chase. You want to like keep this small lead the whole time so that you never have to chase. Or you want to go forward all the time and then just take your foot off the gas and never have to go backwards, but just kind of like hold the center of the ring, that kind of thing. So like you're playing to your strength or to your tendency, and you've honed the skills around it in order to be able to do that. If you are Muay Khao, you might end up having a fight where you're punching a lot. This totally happens. It depends on your opponent. You could be like Samson Hassan, who is absolutely Muay Khao. He's Muay Book as well. Like, he's just always coming forward. But he had good hands, so he could, from a certain range, as he was closing that last range, before you get to knee range, when you're a little bit farther out, he could punch on his way into that in a really nice way. That doesn't make him Muay Mat. That's not like I have to change what I am and become Muay Mat. And then there are people like Jongsanan, Wooden Man, who's known for being Muay Book. He's known for like coming forward and just taking everything. And he famously said that he didn't want to be this style. He wanted to be Muay Femeu. And this means that his nature, like his style, was he wanted to be more evasive, and he was actually capable of doing that. But his gym was like, no, we don't like this style. It's boring. So they changed his style to go forward. You can adopt a style that isn't natural to you, but it's never going to be as like awesome as whatever's natural to you, as evidenced by Jongsanan being like, I really didn't like fighting in the style that I fought in. So it's cool to be able to identify a style for yourself, or to identify a style that you like a lot and that you want to do. But I don't think you should overthink it. And I feel a little bit responsible for this because when I discovered there were Muay Thai styles, which happened a while after I'd come into Thailand, for me it was this huge relief, because I realized I wasn't a messed up horse. I was a zebra. Like, because I'm small, everyone really wanted me to be Muay Femeu and like really like this thing. I just am not. Just, it's not in my nature. It's not. It doesn't work. I'm getting a little bit more able to fight at distance now, but I'm like 12 years in. So when I discovered there is a style that is what I do, it's just a much more beautiful version that you have to work a lot on and actually become adroit in, I was like so relieved that I wasn't failing in this area. I was actually like in these other pools. And so that's why I have this like very deep identity with Muay Khao, and talked a lot about it and have brought it up a lot and have really identified with it and kind of made it like this core thing. That doesn't mean that you have to have that. That doesn't mean that other people have that. Like, Diesel Muay is very proud of his Muay Khao-ness because that's kind of what he's the king of it, but B, it's like his ethic of fighting. It's like, this is how you fight. I don't like the fancy prince boys who dance around kind of thing. And Karahat is very proud of his Femeu because he is the like pinnacle of it. And he's like, nobody can do it as well as I can. But if you look at like the middle range fighters, they don't like super identify with what their fighting style is. They'll tell you, they're like, oh, I'm Muay Maat. Like that's, you know, that's what I tend to do. That's what I have to identify. If you see an interview with a fighter, they'll ask like, what was your name when you started? What's your name now? Who was your first trainer? How much did you make in your first fight? What's the most you've ever made? And they'll ask them what style they are. And sometimes when I'm reading these, I'm like, that's not the style I would have given that fighter, having watched them. And so I don't know whether they choose that because that's the one that they love, like that's the one that they kind of aspire to be, or the one that they find the most wonderful, or if that's actually what they think that their strength is, or what they actually think they're doing. But I'm like, that's not how you actually fight. But that's cool to me. Like, that's kind of beautiful to me that that's what you do. And I guess you can kind of like play outside of frames. Oh my God, I see Kevin, hold on.